Welcome and hello. This is a support video in HEC RAS, and in this video I'm going to be discussing equally spaced cross sections. So this question came up in a comment on one of the videos, and I'm here to answer it. All right, so what we're going to do here is answer the question in two parts. If we have a river reach and we want our cross sections spaced equally, so the first option is in 1D flow, and then the second would be using 2D flow. Up on the screen here, I have my HEC-RAS, the main file GUI, and then down below here is my geometric data editor. So I'm going to go ahead and answer the 1D flow question first. The first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and go File, and then save the geometry data. I'm going to go ahead and give it the title geo_1D. Click OK. Now, before we can add cross sections, we need to add a river reach. I'm going to click river reach, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add some clicks to define a river reach. Double click at the end, and then I'll give it a name. River A, reach 1. All right, now let's go ahead and add some cross sections. I'll click on the cross section tool editor here. Now for the first cross section, I'm going to put it at the bottom of the reach, which is river station 0. So to do that, I'll go Options, add a new cross section, and then the river reach I'll say is 0. Now I need to enter my station elevation data. This is looking in the downstream direction, so it's going to start from left to right. I'm going to go ahead and just paste in the data I have saved on my clipboard, but you can also just type it in as well. Now the downstream distance is going to be 0. I'm just going to type in some typical numbers here for Manning's End. And then the overbank station is 60 and 150 according to my station elevation data. And if I click apply, here is my cross-section preview over here to the right. Now, one way to equally space your cross-sections in 1D is to just manually create cross-sections every constant distance. So for instance, if I want a cross section every 100 feet, I could come up to options, go add a new cross section, and then we already have 0. So now river station 100 would be the next cross section. So I'll go ahead and click OK. It looks like it already added in my Manning's End value from the first cross section. So that's a nice little convenience feature there. I'll go ahead and type in or paste in my station elevation data. And in this case, I may want to actually increase the channel invert a little bit. And then the downstream distance is not going to be 0 anymore. It's going to be the distance to the next downstream cross section, which I know is 100 feet. And then again, the bank station is going to be 60 and 150. Okay, so click apply. And now I have two cross sections that are at the bottom of the reach, river station 0, and then 100 feet upstream from that. If I wanted to create another cross section 100 feet upstream again, quicker way to do it is just to go up to options and then copy the current cross section. So the current cross section is right here. It's river station 100. So if I wanted to just copy that and put one at river station 200, I can go options, copy current cross section. And now this is the dialog box where I'm actually going to type in river station 200. I only have one river. I only have one reach. So I'll click OK. Now, this is an exact duplicate of the river station 100. So what I want to do is just increase the elevation so that it's flowing downstream at a constant slope. So let me just actually delete this and then come up to add constant value to all of my elevations for all of my points in my cross section. To do that, I'll go options, adjust elevations, and then I'll just increase it by say 0.4. Okay, I'll click apply data. Now to check out what I have from a profile view, I'll click on plot and then plot profile. And here are our 3 points. It starts at river station 0, 100, and 200 with a constant 0.2% slope going up in this direction. Now that could be a little tedious, especially if you have 10 or 20 or 50 different cross sections that you want to add. So what I'm going to do next is add a cross section at river station 1000, and then I'm going to interpolate 100-foot cross sections between 200 and 1000, keeping with the same channel geometry and the same channel slope. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and close this. If you want to take a look at our cross sections before we do that in plan view, here they are. Here is our river. It's flowing downstream with river station 0, 100, and 200. All right, so let's go ahead and add a cross section at river station 1000. I'm going to click on the cross section button, and then let's go ahead and make a copy from this one here, river station 200. So I'm going to go options, copy current cross section. I'm going to type in 1000 for the river station. Now for the downstream distance, this needs to be 800 because remember, this is the distance from 1000 down to the next downstream cross section, which is at river station 200. So that's taken care of. Now I want to increase my elevations. Let's see, this should be 0.4. Okay, so I'll add 1.6 feet just to keep with the same 0.2% channel slope. So options, adjust elevation. and then I'll say 1.6, and then click OK. Apply data, and then let me just confirm that that slope is correct. So plot profile, and then here is our new point way up here at River Station 1000. This represents that cross section. So we have 0, River Station 100, River Station 200, River Station 1000. Now, if we want intermediate cross sections right here, the geometric data editor has a tool for just that purpose. Let me go ahead and close this. Here is our updated cross sections right here. You're going to want to click on Tools, Cross Section Interpolation. Within a reach or between two cross sections, it actually doesn't matter for our particular task at this moment. So we'll select Within a Reach. And then when I click Within a Reach, I need to specify the river, the reach, and then the cross sections that are upper and lower bounds for our interpolation. So I'll select 1000, and then I'll select 200 for the downstream. And now the distance is going to be 100. Click on Interpolate Cross Sections, and then close. And just like that, we have equally spaced cross sections for our 1D flow data. Now, you may notice that the coloration looks a little different for the interpolated cross sections, which are at river stations 300 through 900. And we also see a little asterisk mark right here. That's a visual cue to remember that these ones are interpolated, but we can confirm that it is a linear interpolation. So here is the profile plot. We have 900 through 300 cross section, those river stations. So they look a little bit grayed out in this view. And then also, if we click on the drop down, we see the asterisk right here. Sometimes when you're looking at results, you'll have the opportunity to toggle on or toggle off interpolated cross sections, but the manually entered cross sections, you almost always have access to view results in other data. All right, well, that is the answer on the 1D solution when adding cross sections that are equally spaced apart. Now, if we wanted to create a geometry in RAS Mapper and do the 2D solution, it's not quite as clean as far as I understand how to do it, but I'll show you what I would do if this was me. So I'll go up to Options. Actually, let's go ahead and File Save this geometry. And then I'm going to go up to GIS Tools, RAS Mapper. The first thing I want to do is create a geometry that is different than the one we were just editing. So I'll go ahead and right click on Geometries, Create New Geometry. I'm going to call this one Geo 2D and then click OK. Okay, I'm not going to do layer associations right now. Now, it's not necessary I add a terrain. I have my reference right here for the scale, but I'm going to add a terrain anyway and a reference system just so I can know that I'm sketching on an actual river. To do that, I'll go up to Project, set the projection, and then navigate to my projection file. I'm going to use this one right here, and then Apply and OK. Now to add a terrain, I can right-click, Create New RAS Terrain, or just go up to Project and Create New RAS Terrain, and then navigate to my RAS Terrain file. I'm going to select this file right here and then also convert from meters to feet. Okay, everything else looks fine. I'll just leave it at default. Click on create and then wait a moment for that to be created. Okay, that's done. Let me close that up. Here is the terrain. What I want to do is scroll in, zoom in on my river system now. And I also need to sketch out my river. So I'm going to come up to the geometry, edit geometry, click on rivers. I am in edit mode. I'm going to be very hasty about this and not very exact, but I'm going to go ahead and just start sketching out my river. And then I'm going to double click when I'm done up here. And then we'll call it, how about river B, reach 1. Okay. Now what I want to do is click the stop sign to stop the edits. I'm going to file, save the geometry. Then what I'm going to do is actually create a cross section in the geometric data editor in this particular geometry file, and then come back to this geometry file and start making edits. I'm going to close RAS Mapper, open up the geometric data editor, go to Edit, Geometric Data. Now this is my 1D model that we've already worked on. I'm going to go File, Open, Geo 2D, click OK. Here's this river reach, and this is actually geo-referenced. So as before, let's go ahead and add a cross section. I'm going to go Options, Add New Cross Section, River Station 0. Now I need to input this data. I've added the data. I'm going to click Apply. Now I'm going to add one more cross section at River Station 1000, so it's 1,000 feet upstream. And to do that, I'm going to go on Options. I'm going to copy the current cross section, type out 1,000, OK, and then specify 1,000 as the distance down to the next downstream cross section. And then ultimately, I also want to adjust the elevation. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 feet just so we have a gentle slope in the downstream direction. Right? So apply data. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then as before, I'm going to go up to Tools, cross section within a reach. This is every cross section. That's fine. So I'll type in 100, interpolate, and close. All right, I've got my cross sections. Let me go ahead and file, save this 2D geometry, close it, open up RAS Mapper again. And I'm not seeing my cross sections here. So let me just toggle on cross sections. Okay. I just had to click on that checkbox inside this left panel. And now we have our cross sections. So starting at the downstream end here, this is what I'm defining river station 0, and then river station 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. If you need to make edits, so for instance, this cross section might not extend as far as I want. The levee is just beyond the current edge of the cross section. Not a problem. I can go ahead and right click on the cross section, edit geometry, and then with this line, I can double click and then just extend that line a little bit further and then click off to save. Okay. Also, if I wanted to move a cross section, right now you see it's at river station 700. I could go ahead and click edit, click on cross section, select the cross section. So maybe 700 needs to get adjusted somehow. I can just go ahead and move it just like that. Now, right now it still says 700, but I moved it upstream a little ways. So it's not actually 700 River Station anymore. That just is the label that needs to get updated. So to update it, I'll go ahead and right click about all attributes. There we go. So now it says 713. It's no longer right at River Station 700. So for instance, if you need to make certain edits like double clicking and moving certain points, or you want to move the entire cross section, then those are two different ways you can do it. So that's it for this support video. What we did was we looked at two different ways, both 1D and 2D, on how to create cross sections in HEC RAS that are equally spaced apart.